All right, what's up, guys? Welcome back to Fit Body Secrets, where my goal is to bring you education, inspiration, motivation, and a ton of action steps to help you guys all on your fitness journey. And today's episode, I have no idea. I had like system overload where I was thinking about where I wanted to go with today's episode, because supplements are one of those subjects that have so many different areas that can be addressed. And I'm going to keep this one super basic for you guys all out there, because my goal is always to simplify things. I think that we tend to overcomplicate a ton of things with nutrition and fitness, and the simpler and the easier we can make things for ourselves, likely the more compliant that we're going to be. And it's just super funny as I'm looking down at my shirt right now, and I realize that I do have a First Form shirt on, which if you're familiar with, it is a supplement company, and I am not sponsored by them, but I do honestly fully support their product and their message and their brand. So if you do want a good supplement company, I will also make sure that I put the link there in my show notes today. But without further ado, let's kind of roll right into things. I do have some notes up here, but like I said, there are so many things that we could kind of uncover with supplements in general, what types of supplements we should be taking, how to pick the right supplements, and all of these different things. So I want to kind of basically break down supplementation for you guys all out there and give you guys some things to focus on in your own journey. So just give me 1 second to pull this up. All right, cool. So first and foremost, there are two main purposes for taking supplements. One of them is we're trying to fix a nutrition deficiency. So we find that we're lacking something in our diet, or our body's lacking something, and we're trying to supplement with things. You might often hear people taking like things like vitamin D or biotin or vitamin B supplements or things like that. Typically, we're trying to fix a nutrition deficiency. And the other reason is something to enhance or optimize. So we're looking to maybe take in caffeine to help optimize our performance for a workout. We don't necessarily need caffeine, but we're looking to optimize our body's ability to perform. So those are the two main reasons why we're supplementing things. And I say that because a lot of people are often looking to supplements like they're going to be the cure-all or the solution to a problem. And oftentimes they might help, but they usually aren't. And this is a big thing in terms of fixing a deficiency. So if a person is deficient in something, finding out why they're deficient in it is going to be the most important thing. And that's why before we get into supplementation, it's really important to take a look at your overall lifestyle and your overall dietary nutrition protocols, your stress levels, all of those types of things to find out what might be causing the deficiency or why you might need to be optimizing things. So for instance, if a person is having to supplement with caffeine multiple times a day just to stay awake, then that might be a sign that there's too much stress, not enough sleep, not enough recovery. Whereas vice versa, if somebody's just looking to optimize their performance and they're taking a little bit of caffeine pre-workout, hey, I'm all on board for that. So, knowing why we're taking things, and that's why covering the basics of getting in enough quality nutrition, also looking at your body composition. I also think that people don't think that being overweight or having a higher body fat percentage can also affect our body's ability to produce things naturally, or maybe that we are deficient in some things because we're getting too much of other things. So just looking at our overall health in general before we start going down the rabbit hole of supplementation and what we're actually doing to create the body that we have and how we actually feel throughout our day. So I want to start by talking about how we know how we should be choosing the supplements that we're choosing. And honestly, going into First Form, but this isn't the only company that does that. So I'm not just going to make a plug, but there's plenty of other ones out there that I back, things like Thorne Research, Legion, Garden of Life. There's a lot of other companies out there that I know that do this, but number one is you want to make sure that when you're choosing a supplement brand, that they are third-party testing things, meaning that they aren't just making a claim and that you're buying something. Because the problem with supplements is that they don't have to be approved or accredited by the FDA or the Food and Drug Administration. And if they're not third-party testing, their labels might not actually be accurate, that they could actually be lying and telling you that the label has, or your whey protein has 30 grams of protein, but it might only have 15. And there's nothing to regulate that if they're not third-party tested, that they're only doing their own in-house testing. Now, with a third-party tested product, you are ensuring that they are taking the extra step of reaching outside of just their own small circle and ensuring that a approved company has actually taken a look at their product and tested it to make sure that what you're seeing on the label is what you're actually getting. So that is number one. And that is probably the most important thing, that when you're buying a supplement, is that you are getting third-party tested supplements. And on most websites, You can find it either under their FAQs, or if you just go to like the search bar, you type in third-party testing, typically you'll be able to find it somewhere on their website. And most companies put it pretty openly on there if they are, because it's something that is like, hey, we are NSF certified. Also, for those of you guys out there that are competing in the sport of CrossFit and are worried about your supplements being tainted with things that aren't approved by the whatever the organizations, I can't think of the name of it right now, that obviously make sure there are no banned substances. I forget the name of the actual company that does that. But that it's not one that falls into that realm of things, that you are actually getting a third-party tested supplement that there is no trace elements of that to prevent you being honestly discredited for your performance in a workout because you are quote unquote using performance enhancing drugs. This is a big thing. And I could go down a whole rabbit hole right now of performance enhancing drugs in sports, but we're not going to go down that rabbit hole today. So just make sure that your products are third-party tested. Another thing to think about with your supplements is, are they, sorry, I just got sidetracked for a second. Okay. So single ingredient supplements versus proprietary blends. And this is a big one. There are some times that a proprietary blend might be okay, but for the most part, you want to see on your supplement label that you actually see every ingredient broken down individually. So you don't want to see like a supplement that might say like whatever, it's like sleep blend or whatever. You want to see actual breakdowns of things, or energy matrix blend. You'll see this on a lot of pre-workouts. You want to see that it has this much creatine, this much beta alanine, this much L-citrulline, this much glutamine. You want to see the whole, every ingredient broken down individually. And this is also big on things like multivitamins, fish oil, all those types of things. You guys want to be able to see each individually ingredient, because the problem with getting a proprietary blend is you don't know how much of each ingredient you're getting. And for those of you guys that are looking to optimize that, some people might need a little bit more of something and a little bit less of something. So this is why I don't really love taking pre-workouts that have caffeine in them, because maybe I don't need a whole scoop of the pre-workout because I don't need all that caffeine, but maybe I do need all of the other things in there. So I personally use a non-caffeine based pre-workout that just has creatine and beta alanine in it. And then I'll do my own caffeine. I like my coffee. So I'll do a little espresso on the way to the gym or something like that for my own caffeine. So just make sure that you're getting single ingredient listings versus a proprietary blend. And you can see that this is a big one on like sleep supplements. I see it all the time, like sleep blend or proprietary blend of like, and you'll see like skull cap and dandelion root and all these different things. I want to know exactly how much of everything is in them. Or you'll see like a stress supplement and it's like, like stress blend or anxiety relieving blend. You'll see like ashwagandha, skull cap root, and all these different things. I'd rather see this has this much ashwagandha in it, and this has this much, L-tryptophan or whatever it might be for sleep. I want to see the breakdown of all those things individually. So that's the number one thing that I wanted to start with on today's episode, is making sure that when you're buying your supplements, whatever supplement you're looking for, that you are seeing that it's third-party tested and you are seeing the single ingredients all listed on there. All right, so now kind of going into the different forms of supplements. This is another thing that I get questions about is what's better, a pill, a tablet, a capsule, a liquid, all of those different types of things. It starts with obviously making sure that you're getting the right type of supplement. It's a third-party tested ingredient, and then it is also not a proprietary blend. But the next thing is obviously liquid is typically going to be your most potent or the fastest digested, and probably going to be like the least amount of fillers in it. But you also want to look at like, is it just like a glorified piece of candy or a glorified syrup that's like a candy flavored syrup? People that do a lot of the gummy vitamins, is this just like, okay, I'm getting this like sugary gummy bear and it's got like a little bit of whatever ashwagandha in it. So making sure that the concentration per capsule is there, or per serving is there, is what I should say. So even things like fish oil, it might say like 1,000 milligrams of fish oil, but you might have to take like 6 tablets a day. Like that's not going to be realistic. So you want it to be concentrated, and it shouldn't have a bunch of fillers and a bunch of sugar in it. So preferably I like either where you're actually going to see like a capsule that has an actual, like for like a lot of multivitamins and things like that. Or it's going to be a liquid, whether that's in a like a gel cap or a liquid form where you would actually take a swig. So for instance, I personally, like I said, I like First Form. I don't use their fish oil. I like their fish oil, but I personally prefer the Core Omega. It is a liquid form and it doesn't leave any burping flavor for me. So that's what I use for my fish oil. But just knowing that like there's different things. I would say, honestly, the one thing that I would watch out for is I don't do a lot of tablets. Tablets typically are going to have a lot of fillers, and usually the concentration isn't very high in those things. There are a few cases where they might be more beneficial, but for the most part, I look for gel caps or liquid or something that has like a capsule where the ingredients are actually, you can still see like them in dry form. And once again, starting with the third party tested. And then the next thing, which is going to go into kind of like what form is reading the product labels for the sourcing. This is big for multivitamins and also for your fish oil. So if you're getting like a 1 a day or a Centrum multivitamin, and it's just like they're literally just manufacturing vitamin K in a plant versus like you're actually getting like, okay, this is like dehydrated actual fruits and vegetables that you're getting these vitamins from, because like I said, supplements are typically there to catch a deficiency. So likely with a vitamin, you're getting the things that you aren't getting naturally in your diet because you're not eating a lot of those foods. So knowing where your product comes from, super big on this with fish oil, guys. A lot of people will go to like a Nature's Down or a Sundown brand. I'm not plugging brands in particular. These are just ones that I see a lot, or they'll go to like the Nature's Way or whatever, the things you get at your local drugstore. And they're not showing you where that fish comes from, which is the other reason I like the First Form fish oil, but I also like the Core Omega. You want like a wild caught, line caught fish. And I think on the Core Omega, it actually tells you where the fish, like the fisherman that got the fish from. But you want to know where your product is coming from. You know, this goes along for your animal products too. If you are a meat eater, like I want to know where my animal product, where my food's coming from. So knowing where your products are coming from, whole food source is always going to be better than just a man-made kind. So making sure that you're getting that as well. All right, so that's kind of going into that. I wanted to kind of talk to you guys a little bit about some supplements that I think are kind of the supplement categories essentially, because I think that like I could literally talk to you guys about supplements for 2 hours and you guys would not retain a thing. And I want this to be somewhat digestible, entertaining, and obviously educational. But to start, there are probably some different categories of supplements that you're going to be familiar with. And some of the most common categories of supplements that I was researching were, obviously you've got fat loss supplements, you've got performance-based supplements, you've got, which is also going to take into factor like strength and muscle building supplements. You've got mood, brain supplements, focus supplements, sleep supplements, you've got gut supplements, you've got all these different supplements, right? And I say that because at the end of the day, we could literally be supplementing for every area of our life. As I'm reading through this, I'm like, God, I could be taking this for sleep and this for gut, and then this for, you know, my blood sugar, and this for my mood, and this for my fat loss and staying lean, and this for, you know, getting stronger, all these different supplements. That's why like minimum effective dose. So if you aren't covering the basics of nutrition and you don't know where to start, that is where you should be starting. These supplements should be taking the top of the triangle, the top of the hierarchy. They are a small percentage of your overall life, and they should make up a small percentage of your focus. And it's really just catching a couple of things and finding the few things that work the most for you and your goals. A lot of supplements are a lot of hype and a lot of claim, but not a lot of results. And or oftentimes people don't use them long enough because they can't be consistent with them long enough to actually see the benefits of them. So, you know, I will be honest, I'm going to start by talking to you guys about some supplements that I think that get way too much credit and really don't do a damn thing. And one of them is fat loss supplements. And I could go down the rabbit hole of all the different types. There's like Garcinia Cambodia, and there's this, you know, whatever, this ketone, raspberry ketones and green tea extract and taking this for fat loss. Guys, at the end of the day, it's a lot of bullshit. And a lot of times what you're going to see on these things as claims, you're going to see this person like, hey, I've been taking this supplement and now look at me. Okay, well, are you going to talk about your nutrition, your training program, all these different things that you probably did to achieve those results and how long it actually took you? Guys, supplements can make claims that are not true. And there is nothing regulating that once again. So I forget where I heard it. I think it was on a different podcast. It was so interesting that they talked about how there was actually a supplement company that was going to like local bodybuilding shows and taking photos of the bodybuilders that were super stage lean and like, hey, do you mind if we take some photos of you? We'll give you this much money for them. And then they were taking photos again of them, asking them if they could follow up in about 12 weeks after they had actually finished the bodybuilding show and they were back to their life. And if you know the bodybuilding world, a lot of those people would actually put on weight because in the off season, it's a lot different. They don't look that super shredded all year round. And so they were getting these like before and after photos that were actually in reverse. They took the photos of them first when they were lean, and then they took the photos of them. They took the photos again when they had put the weight back on. They're like, hey, look at these transformations that we made. When in reality, they didn't make any transformation. It's just fucked up. Excuse my language, but it's like something that I hate for all of you guys out there. They're like, man, I feel like I'm trying so hard. And like this person just takes a magic pill and it makes it happen. Guys, they are literally most of them don't do anything. The ones that are probably going to do the most are the ones that are going to be like your appetite suppressant that you would actually get medically diagnosed or medically prescribed to you from a doctor. But a lot of those have really bad side effects and often are things that are often not needed if you are dialing in, getting in enough food, being patient with your process to allow you to find a sustainable way to lose weight that actually doesn't make you feel super restricted and hungry. So fat loss supplements, for the most part, are a waste of money. The ones that people I think get the most benefits from outside of the ones that are medically prescribed are the ones that are going to obviously increase the thermogenic effect of life, meaning they just make you have a lot more energy. So like you're taking this thing and it's got a lot of stimulants in it. And now you're like you feel like you're high on crack. Okay, well, that's great. It's obviously, yeah, it's going to help you move more, but why not just move more, right? So it might increase your energy a little bit, but it doesn't really help with your fat loss. It just helps you move more to help you lose more weight. So just something to think about. Performance supplements. Once again, there are a lot of things out there that I don't think really do a lot for people. BCAAs are one of them. I don't think that they're necessarily nothing. I think that they do help. I think that EAAs, essential amino acids, go a lot further. And for a lot of people, if you're getting in enough protein and your training volume or your training sessions aren't lasting beyond 60 to 90 minutes, you probably don't need them. However, if you are, going beyond that, or you are in a calorie deficit and you are super limited on calorie intake, these can honestly help a little bit with that because BCAAs or EAAs, essentially amino acids, are the building blocks of protein. So it could help a little bit with energy and recovery. But it's one of those things, like, once again, all of these supplements are meant to be the top end of the spear. They're not going to make you all of a sudden superhuman. They just kind of maybe add a little bit of edge, but there are a lot of performance supplements that don't really do a whole bunch. A lot of pre-workouts just have a lot of stimulants. They don't really add a whole bunch of punch. I'm going to go into some ones that actually do help a little bit. Mood supplements, there are some that are going to be a little bit more helpful. I do think that ashwagandha can go a long way. I personally take ashwagandha. I think that melatonin is another supplement that is underrated that can really help because melatonin is the precursor to serotonin. They work kind of hand in hand, so that can actually help you a little bit. And it can help with sleep and things like that. But there are a lot of other mood supplements out there that I think are kind of like a lot of hype. So gut health, this is one that honestly, this is probably the one supplement area that there are some things that you guys can honestly all be doing to kind of help with gut health. Pre and probiotics, digestive enzymes and things like that. Not a plug for First Form, but their product, their Optigreens, does have a lot of that stuff in there. And that can go a lot of way because I do see a lot of gut health problems in the nutrition coaching space, or in my field in general. So that's the main thing that I kind of just wanted to kind of break down a little bit of that. So when it comes down to kind of like choosing supplements and where you should be starting, and I'm going to kind of, like I said, I could go into different avenues based on, well, what are your symptoms? Like, do you need this for that? It all starts with that basics, right? I'm covering the base of foundation of my lifestyle. I'm getting in enough sleep. I'm getting in enough training. I'm actually getting in enough food throughout the day. I haven't been in a cut for too long. My body composition is improving. I'm feeling all those things, right? But if I was to add some supplements in that I think that could benefit everybody, regardless of who you are, I'm going to start with those. And then maybe I'll do another episode where I can kind of break down some basic things. Because I think that other people I didn't even put on here hormone balancing supplements, because that's another big one that you get. And a lot of those don't do jack shit and sometimes can actually make things a little bit worse just because they cause other problems. So to keep it simple today, I'm going to cover the basic supplements that I think that everybody should be taking. and they're going to help you guys all, no matter who you are. Number one is a good quality multivitamin. So even if you don't think you need a multivitamin because you eat a lot of healthy foods, I think that covering all the bases is super important. Once again, I don't like proprietary blends. I personally take the First Form Microfactor. I like the fact that it is a vitamin pack. So I'm not just getting a multivitamin, I'm getting a lot of other things in there as well. There actually is, I think, EPA, DHA fish oil, some other things in there, but making sure that you're getting a good quality multivitamin. Another brand that I would recommend if you're not First Form friendly is I like Thorne, I like Legion. I think that there are like Garden of Life, I guess, is another company out there that I know that makes a pretty good quality multivitamin. But once again, you're looking for whole food sourcing, preferably in a capsule or a liquid form, which is also a good form. Any of those types of things. Another supplement to add on to your multivitamin, the next one is going to be fish oil and vitamin D. And I say both because they work hand in hand. And even if you live in sunny South Florida, like I do, you can always benefit from vitamin D. You can't really overdo it. And obviously most people just don't get enough sun. It's really good for mood. It's really good for recovery. It's really good for the immune system. I think a lot of people push things like vitamin C for the immune system, where vitamin D we're finding is actually a better thing to be looking at in terms of immune, which I didn't even put that on here as another category. That's a whole other category of supplements that we can get into, the echinaceas and the elderberries and this just a bunch of different things. And I'll be honest, guys, I'm sick maybe once a year and I don't take any immune boosting supplements. I take pretty much what I'm telling you guys here today. So multivitamin, fish oil, vitamin D. Once again, I already talked about this, making sure that you're finding a good quality fish oil. First Form, Core Omega, Carlson's, Barlean's, Nordic Naturals are all good brands as well, if you want to write those things down. So multivitamin, fish oil, vitamin D. Vitamin D, I take the First Form liquid, but whatever you guys prefer, that actually is something that you can probably find pretty cheaply. It's not super expensive, and most companies are going to make it with a good sourcing anyways. Next I have on the list is I put a good quality whey protein powder. And I actually hesitated to put this on here because I do find that whey protein is actually a food. It's not really a supplement at all, but I think it does get categorized in a lot of places as a supplement because it's not like naturally something that you would think about buying as a food source. But I think that as time has gone on, since I've started using protein powder, whey protein powder has become a way for people to actually get more protein in their diet. And it actually makes it taste better. So like some people, maybe they need more protein, but they don't want to just eat chicken and shrimp and fish. They want to be able to they have a craving for something sweet. And there is a ton of super high protein dessert recipes out there now that we can actually change the way we eat. And I think that a lot of people, I could almost go down the rabbit hole of how we kind of got into this notion of oh, well, I want the real thing or the fake thing. Well, maybe we could just realize that maybe our nutrition is evolving. Maybe our desserts are evolving to allow us to feel that we're getting in the right types of foods that our body needs. Maybe we can make healthier options than what, we used to make 20 years ago. So it's just learning that maybe we're evolving with our nutrition and our recipes. We're building new ones that we're not just using the ones that we've had for the last 100 years. So it just can make food more creative. Whey protein powder is great. If you don't tolerate whey, try a hydrolyzed whey. Oftentimes, it's a little bit more sensitive on the digestive tract. And there's also a lot of vegan and vegetarian options of whey protein, or vegan options of protein, not whey, vegetarian, that are made with pea protein and things like that if you don't want to do whey. But I think that whey is probably the most taste preference for most people. Always look at the label. Like I said, make sure that you're getting a good quality. Also on the whey protein label is look at the amount of protein and carbs and the amount of fats, because often when you are buying specifically a vegan protein, you might not actually be getting a whole bunch of protein. It might be 2 scoops is 10 grams of protein, but it's also 40 grams of carbs, which is really not going to do you much good. So, but whey protein is another one. Another supplement that I'm super big about pushing is creatine. I think creatine gets underutilized. It's so good. The research on creatine goes far beyond just a couple of years. It's probably one of the most well-researched and one of the longest studied supplements out there. And the benefits go beyond just building muscle. And if you're a lady out there, don't worry, it's not going to make you bulky. That's pretty hard to do unless you're taking some performance enhancing drugs. But the things it can do for neurological function, recovery, all the other benefits of it, immune function, heart function, all these different things it can do, that taking creatine is one of those things that I do full-heartedly think that everybody can benefit from it. So you can get different brands. I, once again, use First Form. There's a lot of different forms of it. Creatine monohydrate is the one that I'm always going to recommend. It's probably the most, some people are like, oh, creatine makes me bloated. Probably one of the ones that are probably pretty user-friendly no matter who you are. And then the last supplement that I actually put on here is kind of a funny one because I don't think anybody would have expected it, but I do think caffeine is a good supplement. And I don't think that we should be supplementing with caffeine on a regular basis. But in terms of like giving you like a little bit of a boost in the beginning of your day, I think that just a little bit goes a long way. If it becomes something that you are reliant on because you're not getting enough sleep, but it's a great performance enhancing, supplement. It does help you get a little bit more boost before your workout. I personally think that people should stop drinking caffeine after 2 p.m. if you have a hard time sleeping. But if it's something that I do think that can go a long way for performance, for all those types of things, helps actually with, opening up your airways a little bit. That's why people with asthma will often be told to drink caffeine. But those are the basics that I had covered. And I didn't want to go down the rabbit hole of all the other ones out there because there is a whole bunch. The last thing that I'm going to mention is some things to really watch out for when you are reading your labels. And I kind of already touched on this, but I did put it at the end here. It's just to watch out for supplements that have a lot of fillers and other additives in there. So when you're looking at the other ingredients, the list is super long with a bunch of like red number 5 and blue number this and glycerin and different types of sorbitols and sugars and all that other shit. Then you should probably limit. I don't know why I'm cursing so much today. It's just Monday, maybe. I don't know. And then obviously looking at the serving size. So if you're buying something that's costing you $60 for something that's costing you $30, you might think that you're getting a more expensive product. But sometimes if you look at the serving size, the $30 product might actually be costing you more in the long run because it might not be as much concentration per serving. So always look at the serving size of all of your supplements when you're taking them to make sure that you're getting in, and look at the price per serving. So if it says like 30 servings in it, then that's obviously you're looking, okay, this whey protein has 30 servings of 15 grams of protein versus this one has 30 servings of 30 grams of protein. So this one's got double the amount of protein per jug. So always looking at that as well. But that's it, guys. A little bit of a breakdown of supplementation for you. And I'm just going to kind of quickly recap a little bit because I know that I kind of went off on a couple of tangents today. Because like I said, supplementation is something that I get a ton of questions about. And I could honestly go down the rabbit hole. And if I can tell you guys, leave you guys with this one tip, it's okay. Number one, cover the nutrition basics, look at your lifestyle, all of those types of things first. Number two, I would say is looking at what might be causing the biggest deficiencies. So if it's like a sleep related thing or whatever, like trying to figure out what's causing that. So you know what you should be supplementing with. So number one and number two is kind of looking at overall lifestyle to figure out what gaps you're trying to fill. And also if it is something that you have to change with your nutrition or your lifestyle, you're still making actionable steps to help you guys work on those things while you are supplementing. So hopefully you won't need it forever. And then number two is I broke down the supplements that I think you guys should all be taking while you guys are trying to buy those supplements. Is number three, making sure that you're getting something that is third-party tested and that you are reading the labels to make sure that the sourcing of it is a good quality, and that you're reading labels to make sure there's not a whole bunch of fillers and additives and all that kinds of stuff. So that's it, guys. That's my supplement talk for you all today. I can't believe it is already April. We are kicking off the first week of my 8-week Summer Shred 2.0. And I'm super excited to see all of my clients crush it. So if you want in on that, unfortunately, I did close the gates. I was going to say, reach out to me, but I did actually make a hard cutoff on Friday. However, I did have a lot of interest post, so I probably will do another one when this one wraps up. So stay tuned and happy Monday.